Crimson Trace announces Link, the world's first wireless laser and white light system, combining a green laser and 300 lumen light with instinctive activation for AR-type rifles. Link, smart, simple, secure. Learn more at crimsontrace.com.
Welcome to Tom Gresham's Gun Talk, where a right is always a right, not a privilege.
Welcome back. Tom Gresham here, 866-TALK-GUN, or just dial me at Tom Talk Gun. Let's see, in the gun rights world, Kentucky lawmakers have approved a constitutional carry bill going to the governor. Governor says he's going to sign it, kind of reinforcing the whole idea that this is a right and not a privilege. You don't have to ask permission to exercise free speech or freedom of assembly, generally. You shouldn't have to ask permission to exercise your Second Amendment rights. I always tell people, and they say, well, that's different. So look, all the things you want to do to gun rights, to Second Amendment, take those same regulations and just swap out free speech for them. Where you have to ask permission, you have to fill out a form, you have to have a background check before you could exercise free speech. Well, that's different. That's guns. This is guns. That's free speech. Actually, until and unless you understand this, you're not going to understand us. We think they are exactly the same. They are amendments to the bill. They're in the Bill of Rights. They're amendments to our Constitution. And we consider them to all have the same weight, the same importance. And what you would do to one, you should be willing to do to all of the others. And if not, then you shouldn't do it to any of them. Just my take. So Kentucky, moving toward constitutional carry, permitless carry, where anybody who can lawfully own a gun can carry a concealed gun, no need to ask permission. What do you think of constitutional carry? We're joined right now by one of our good friends in the gun biz. Been around a while with a great company. Ryan Repp joins us from Brownells. Ryan, you didn't hear, I had a story about Brownells earlier. Actually, we've had two stories about Brownells. So you're just in time. By the way, welcome.
Perfect. Yeah, thanks, Tom.
I actually had
they were good stories.
They were actually both good stories. Had a fellow call in, and he was telling us he ordered some stuff from Brownells, and it's supposed to arrive and didn't arrive, and he waited a couple of days, waited another day, didn't arrive, so he calls Brownells and says, hey, that stuff hadn't arrived. And they said, well, hold on, let's check on that. He says, they're gone about 5 minutes. They come back and say, yeah, it looks like it got lost. Don't worry, we're shipping out we're reproducing your order, and it's going out today.
Perfect.
He was shocked. He was kind of like, well, we're not going to do the whole let's check with UPS and file a claim and all that. It's just no, you didn't get it. You ordered it. We're going to send it to you.
Well, we try to make things easy. That's good. I'm glad you had a good experience.
And I had my own personal experience. I've said for years that people ought to do this. I was trying to find extractor for a 5mm Remington rifle. Hadn't been made for 40 years. Couldn't find it anywhere. So I said, I know who to call. And I assumed that Brownells would not have it, and you didn't. But I said, I want to talk to one of the techs. So they put me back to one of your techs, and he goes, yeah, I just checked. We don't have that. He says, but here's a couple of outfits that might have it. Here are their phone numbers. And just sent me on my way and said, I know that this guy over here, he's got a supply, and he just may have those. You might want to give him a call. And that doesn't make any money for Brownells, but it's just helping people.
Yeah, it's all about helping the industry out. Yeah, and that's kind of the cool part. There's all the gunsmiths that are back in that room, and now we have them kind of spread across the country, working from home, some of them. But those guys have so much knowledge, and they know where to find stuff, even if we don't carry it. And they're certainly happy to share that knowledge. That's for sure.
It's got to be neat for you. I mean, just on a personal level, to work for a company that you just don't have to apologize for.
Right. No, it's a really cool experience. The company is just fantastic. You and I've talked about it a number of times, but the culture there, and it's such a great culture, great, taking care of families and that sort of thing, and of course, big Second Amendment supporter. All that stuff goes without say, but the culture is just it's a fantastic place to be. I'll tell you.
Pretty cool, and you kind of have turned some of your uber geeky gun folks loose, creating these projects like we're talking about. This thing like an AR-180 upper new thing out there. You got guys in the back room who are they're coming up with weird stuff now.
Yeah, it's kind of I think one of the things that's different about our company is that, we work with, I think it's over 2,000 industry manufacturers. And so sometimes, our guys kind of see perhaps holes in the market. And sometimes we reach out to companies and figure out if they can fill those holes. And sometimes we reach out to companies and do it, in coordination with them. So, yeah, the Brownells BRN 180 upper has been tremendously popular. Many people from the SHOT Show thought it was one of the cooler announcements. But that's actually a project between us, Primary Weapon Systems, and FM Products. So kind of what's just doing what we do is just getting the industry together and figuring out how to fill those sometimes gaps that we see. And this has been probably one of the most successful projects that we've ever launched early on.
Describe what it is.
Yeah. So it's a copy of the old AR-180, of course, the short stroke gas piston system, but ours is an upper only. So it's an AR-180 upper. The cool thing about it is, of course, it's piston operated. There's no buffer system, so you can put ours onto any mil-spec AR-15 lower and full function of the firearm with the stock folded or closed. It's a really, really cool piece.
That's really interesting. So you could have a folding stock, and it'll continue to work. Man, that's slick. Is that one of these deals where you guys just kind of going, well, what if? I mean, that's kind of, I just imagine you guys in the back room going, well, what if we did this? What if this would be cool, kind of a thing?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, that's how it starts a lot of times. And this one, I'll be honest with you, we had to do some convincing internally to launch this project, and kudos to the boss's bosses. But it was really, really cool. It's been so well received. But this was kind of a wild idea, but again, not incredibly revolutionary. I mean, this whole design and has been around for a long time. It was just kind of how do we bring it back, but how do we serve people with that have AR lowers kind of laying around that need a home. So we came up with this idea, and man, it's taken off like crazy. It's been super popular. They're shipping, by the way.
Talking about.
They haven't shipped yet, but they're going to ship in a couple weeks. So yeah, it's kind of neat.
When you talk about bringing things back, it also kind of brings me to this giveaway you're doing, and I'm looking this thing up. The Brownells XBRN 177E2, and I started reading the history of it. This is like a really cool piece of history you guys have here.
Yeah, sure it is. It's a copy of the old XM 177 E2s. Of course, a lot of folks will remember that as a special operations rifle from back in Vietnam. But a really, really cool piece. It was I guess it was technically, I think, and I'm not the historian, so somebody will undoubtedly correct me, but it was one of the early efforts at a carbine. I know the Colt 605 was perhaps the earliest effort, and we do have one of those as well, the BRN 605, which is just basically a shrunken M16A1. But this carbine is really, really cool. Also been popular as well. Folks can check it out if they haven't seen our retro line at brownells.com/retro.
Well, now, I'm looking at the specs on it, and it says it has a 12.7-inch barrel. Does that make it an SBR, or does that big old flash hider on there take care of that?
Yeah, the flash hider takes care of it. Yep.
Okay, so it's not an SBR. It's a regular rifle. Anybody can buy it. You don't have to do the $200 tax. And this one comes out of, you say, the Special Operations Group, basically the Special Forces folks in Vietnam.
Right, exactly. Yeah, it's modeled exactly after that. In fact, the gentleman's name is going to escape me right now, but I know Recoil just wrote a piece on this guy, and there was a gentleman who was a special ops guy back in Vietnam who went on and on about, he was a commander, as I recall, went on and on about the accuracy of this piece and how cool it was that we had brought it back. It's definitely something folks should check out.
So you guys are giving one away?
Yeah, we're giving one away with you guys.
So you go to guntalk.com/win, or you can also you can look it up on Brownells, but the guntalk.com/win, WIN, is where you go for that one.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it'll be a great piece for somebody.
Well, and people always ask, well, can I? Does it work in California? Does it work here? Look, it just depends on where you live, each of these giveaways, whether you can or cannot get it, and you got to figure that out. And there's some states and some places where you go, it does not apply. It's like, okay, if you're in California, Colorado, Connecticut, Illinois, Maryland, Massachusetts, New Jersey, New York, and Washington, D.C., you know where you are, and you know what's prohibited, so you got to figure it out. I mean, that's not on Brownells. That's on you and the laws there. Yeah,
that's I heard you're talking earlier about the all the carry laws and that sort of thing going on around there. People need to remember that the fights a lot of times for the Second Amendment happen at that state level. And so, it's definitely something that we can control, but be sure to write your legislators and don't give up in your individual states. That's national stuff gets a lot of attention, but we'd sure like to be able to make these giveaways more eligible to others. But it's just rough sometimes in states that don't quite see freedom the way we do.
Yeah, it really is. If you want to go take a look at that, you go to guntalk.com/win, WIN, and you can actually enter for a chance to win the sweepstakes. It's very cool. Ryan Repp, thank you so much. It's always cool to find out what's going on over at Brownells. It is a good company, and we have no reservations whatsoever about recommending you guys.
Hey, we appreciate it as always, Tom. Thank you much.
All right, you take care. All right, 866-TALK-GUN. We are open lines. If there's a gun you want to talk about, you want to tell me about the bump stock that you have, what you're going to do with it. Are you a revolver guy or gal? What are you shooting? And I'm still looking for the answer. Is anybody making a lever action 10mm rifle? 866-TALK-GUN.
Built for personal and home protection, the Smith & Wesson M&P 380 Shield EZ pistol features an easy-to-load magazine with load assist button, an easy-to-rack slide, and the M2.0 crisp trigger and enhanced grip texture. With its easy-to-rack, easy-to-pack, and easy-to-shoot design, the M&P 380 Shield EZ is perfectly sized 380 protection. Find out more at smith-wesson.com.
This land, once wild and free, fades now from our memory. But I remember what it was like, what we were like, what we are capable of when we band together. Perhaps more than any other landscape, wetlands embody the life-giving abundance that nature has to offer. And perhaps more than any other organization, Ducks Unlimited is working to ensure that our continent's wetlands not only survive, but thrive for generations well beyond this one. These natural wonders are where waterfowl begin their cycle of life, where the deer and the antelope play, and where we, the people, gather together to see and share what makes the outdoors so great. The time is now to band together with organizations like Ducks Unlimited. The time is now to rescue our wetlands.
Built to perform in the harshest conditions, the Ruger American pistol can take it all, from ice to dust and everything in between. The Ruger American pistol features a short take-up trigger, Novak sights, and a recoil-reducing barrel cam with low mass slide for reduced felt recoil. Plus, a modular grip system with 3 sizes to fit almost any hand. Check it out at Ruger.com. The Ruger American pistol, because anything else would be un-American.
All right, I told you I was going to talk about this. Story out of New York State. The headline on the story is Bulletproof Vest Saves Police Officer's Life When Gun Fires During Harrowing Encounter with Rabid Fox. So already we're setting it up here. He is the hero in this harrowing encounter with a rabid fox because the gun just went off, Yeah, maybe. A bulletproof vest is being credited with saving a New York police officer's life after he accidentally shot himself. Now we're getting to the heart of it. He accidentally shot himself while trying to outrun a rabid fox. Yeah, this 10-pound critter was chasing him, I guess. Charged him. The officer, 24-year-old officer, I'm not going to give out his name. I'm not going to embarrass him that way. Was called out about a fox acting funny. Fox charged him, came toward him. He began running away and attempted to jump a fence, but his foot got caught, causing him to flip over and fall to the ground. And as he landed, the gun went off and hit his bulletproof vest. Well, if you have the gun out and you're being charged by a rabid fox, you might just want to shoot it. Just a thought, just saying. Oh, wait, did I just say you had the gun out? Well, how did I arrive at that? Let's see, if the gun's in your holster and you trip going over a fence, it's really hard to figure out how it could go off, number one, because they don't just go off. And number two, how it could go off and shoot you in your own vest. I'm guessing he had the gun in his hand, had finger on the trigger, fell, pulled the trigger, gun did what it's told to do, it fired. Fortunately for him, he had his vest on and his vest. Okay. What's our takeaway from that? What can we learn from that? Well, several things. And I'm serious about this, okay? Yes, I'm using this as an example, but several things. One is the whole idea of having your finger on the trigger, and we talk about that a lot, about keeping your finger outside the trigger guard. Here's what happens. You get startled, and the startle reflex is to clench your fists. It's what people do. If you have your gun out and you have your finger on the trigger and you're going through your house because you think there may be somebody in your house and you're already frightened and there's a wet spot in your shorts and you go around the corner and there's someone there and you get startled and you yell and you clench your fist and the gun goes off, and what if it's not a bad guy who's there? It's somebody else. Fill in the blank. Member of the family. Drunk neighbor. Whomever. Finger outside of the trigger guard until the sights are on the target and you have made a conscious decision to fire. There are some times, okay, with training, you should be able to, anybody should be able to place a finger on the trigger and not fire the gun. All right, so I know that generally we say don't put your finger on the trigger until your sights are on the target and you're ready to shoot or made a conscious decision to shoot. Actually, there are times when you can put your finger on the trigger and be just, a little bit of pressure away from shooting, but not shoot. Should be able to do that if you train, if you practice, if you go get classes. Training, by the way, doesn't mean practice. Let me make sure. Once again, I think I have to spell that out occasionally. Training is not you going to the range and shooting and practicing. Training is taking a class. Training is working with an instructor. Training is going to someone who knows more about this stuff than you do, who thinks about it more than you do. And, sometimes may not be a better shot than you are, because self-defense training is really not about marksmanship. That's a little part of it, but it's not the biggest part of it, okay? Let's see. Line 4. Jeff's with us out of McAllister, Oklahoma. Jeff, I think you've got a range report story for us.
Kind of, sort of. Yes, sir. You've been getting some really good comments on some of the manufacturers and the way they treat their customers. And I kind of likewise had an experience myself, Daisy BB guns, Daisy air rifles. These guys are just phenomenal. If you've ever gotten to deal with any of these guys at Daisy, it's amazing. I coach. I'm a USA Shooting, Olympic governing body coach, which is aligned with the NRA coach. It's all the same, really. And I've coached juniors from the minimum age is 8 years old all the way up to 15 for BB gun, and then from 8 to college for air rifle. So, there's no minimum on that. But anyway, one time we went to a match in, I want to say it was Bowling Green, Kentucky, and we arrived with one of our air rifles. It was an A-53 that had some sort of a barrel problem, and it's a single action pump pellet rifle is what it is, and it's one of their. I'm not going to say low line, but it's a darn good rifle. It's
right.
An entry level marksmanship, sporter category. It's not the precision category. And and we had some sort of a barrel problem, but they had their gunsmith there on a trailer, and if you had issues or needed parts or something like that, they were there. Well, I dropped it off, and she said, "Look, just leave it with me, and let me look this over." And when I came back, she just handed me a brand new 853, and I was like stunned. She said that was a basket case.
Oh, no kidding.
No, yeah, and didn't charge me anything for it, nothing, and came with all the this new one. It was in the box. So it had the new sling stop, everything. The butt plate extensions to help fit kids that are a little taller. It came with everything. She didn't chintz on me there. Just handed me a new one in the box, and had never been treated like that by anybody before, any manufacturer, whatever. But Daisy is just is superior products. The reason I just wanted to get on here and kind of give them a shout out if I could, because that these comments people are making about the pistols, the SIGs, and the XDs and stuff like that, they're right up there. And if you've never been to the Daisy Museum, that is an amazing museum they got up there.
Is that in Rogers?
Yeah, I believe it is in Rogers, Arkansas. They have one of Lewis and Clark's air rifles on display up there.
Oh yeah, Lewis and Clark had an air rifle on their expedition. They sure did.
They did, and it was amazing. They killed lots of game with it.
Yes, they did.
And it's really the history behind the air rifle itself is amazing. And I'm a shooter of any kind. I got a military background and the whole smash, but I'm just a gun lover, gun nut, if you will. And but when it gets down to pure, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. I got about 10 seconds. Go.
If it gets down to pure shooting, air rifles, and you can shoot them in your house, set up targets, and you don't, if it's cold and windy outside, doesn't matter. You can still shoot.
Absolutely. Great range report, Jeff. Thank you so much, and I agree. Adult air rifles are so much fun. They're accurate. They're not your granddaddy's BB guns anymore, and you can shoot them in your garage, your basement, or any other place, and you don't even need hearing protection for it. You do need eye protection, though. You always wear eye protection when you shoot those. Absolutely. Oh, by the way, are you an air rifle shooter? What was your first BB gun? 866 Talk Gun.
This is Milo Lardbottom, Junior Under Assistant Deputy to the Assistant Director of Deputy Affairs for the Department of Homeland Security, with a special message for listeners of Tom Gresham's Gun Talk. We know who you are. We know where you are. You're right by your radio. We have special cameras that can see into your radio. I have a special monitor built into my aluminum foil helmet. We are watching you, so don't try anything funny, Buster.
Hey, when do you want to spot that burglar? When he's casing your home or after he's in? Yeah, I want to know about it before he gets in, right? Well, John, his Blink camera alerted him of burglars trying to break in while he and his family were home. Or Shannon had the same thing happen. Her Blink camera actually caught a thief stealing packages. Both times, Blink video clips were sent to the police to help convict the crooks. Now, here's the deal. In just a minute, I'm going to tell you how you can get 20% off all the Blink outdoor XT camera systems. Blink is motion-activated indoor and outdoor cameras. They're wire-free. They set up in minutes. They run on a couple of lithium AA batteries. They last up to 2 years, the batteries do. A Blink's live feed option lets you monitor your home and check in on the kids and pets from anywhere using your Blink smartphone app. No contracts, no subscriptions, totally affordable. All right, here's the deal. For the next 2 weeks, looks like 2 weeks, they're doing a really cool sale, 20% off the Blink Outdoor XT camera systems, 20% off. Now, this is going to end March 16th at midnight Eastern Time, so you got to move fast on this. Visit blinkprotect.com/sale, blinkprotect.com/sale. Blink is an Amazon company, and it works with Alexa. All right, let's go straight to the phones. Line 3, Jeff's with us out of Cave Junction, Oregon. Jeff, what's on your mind here? Jeff's not there. Okay, let's try Bill on line 2 out of Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Bill, interesting story.
Yes, Tom. Good afternoon. I was very interested in listening to the previous caller about buying the surplus 1911.
Mm-hmm.
So I pulled out a receipt that my father had. He bought one from the government in 1960. And I'm looking at the receipt. It says the unit cost was $14.15, and the shipping and handling was $2.85. So it cost him a total of $17, and that was shipped to his home.
Okay, let me explain, because you and I know what we're talking about. Way back, the Civilian Marksmanship Program, the U.S. government had surplus firearms, M1 Garands, 30 caliber carbines, and 1911 pistols, among some others, the 1911 45s. And as a result, they sold them to the public, to the U.S. citizens who had actually paid for them in the first place through taxes. And the prices were crazy low. There is a CMP now, and they're selling these pistols, and they're going anywhere from $800 to $1,000. But in 1960, the 1911 pistol that your dad bought, $14.15 plus $2.85 shipping for an even $17 to get a 45 automatic, right?
That is correct.
Wow.
And
yeah. And you know what? You meant, I was going to say, that's the other part that people don't understand. They could mail it, run it through the U.S. mail, and send it directly to your home, because this was before 1968. And before 1968, it was perfectly legal to order a gun and have it mailed to your home. Sears Roebuck would do it. Montgomery Ward's would do it. The Civilian Marksmanship Program would do it, and send it to your home. And in 1968, that's when they required all sales of new guns to go through gun stores. The gun stores had to be licensed. You had to fill out a form, et cetera, et cetera. All the stuff that younger people now, Bill, think that is normal, you and I remember when that was not, in fact, normal. I mean, that was unheard of, and it was revolutionary, and frankly, it was disturbing in 68 when they said, you're not going to be able to just order a gun and have it sent to your house. It's just like, and that didn't help. None of this ever helps reduce crime. It just restricts rights and restricts our ability to own guns and buy guns. But that's a great, now, do you still have that pistol?
I do. I inherited it from him. It says on the receipt that it's unserviceable, but he told me at the time that it appeared to be brand new.
Interesting. Have you ever shot it?
I have. I have my own as well, but I have shot it with him, not lately. But he always said he wished he had gotten the Grand at the same time. But of course, it was much more expensive. It was $20-some.
$20-something for an M1 Garand. I love it. Well, that is a great call, a great report, Bill. Thank you so much. I do appreciate that, sir. Hey, Joe in Kansas, don't go anywhere. I'm going to get to you as soon as we come back, because this is an important issue. And we're also going to be talking about the guns that you have been buying, the guns that you have in your possession. I love that story that Bill had. You talk about a connection with his father. That's the other part that I think a lot of times the gun ban folks don't get, is the connections that we have with our fathers, grandfathers, grandmothers, mothers. I have my mother's 20-gauge shotgun, Winchester Model 12, that I do love, and we're not going to let that one get out of the family. 866-TALK-GUN.
For more than 70 years, Timney Triggers has been enhancing the shooter's experience. Whether it's a local competition, a day at the range, or even the hunt of a lifetime. Setting the standard in aftermarket triggers, Timney is now producing more than 170 models of triggers for bolt-action rifles, shotguns, AR rifles, and semi-automatic rifles. Proudly made in the USA since 1946. Find your new trigger at TimneyTriggers.com.
Perhaps more than any other landscape, wetlands embody the life-giving abundance that nature has to offer. And perhaps more than any other organization, Ducks Unlimited is working to ensure that our continent's wetlands not only survive, but thrive for generations well beyond this one. The time is now to band together. The time is now to rescue our wetlands.
Want great deals on guns, ammunition, and gear? Download the free Gun Dealio app today. With Gundealio, you can search for deals, listen to the Gun Talk podcast, watch gun videos, read gun news, and get notifications right to your phone about deals and special offers. Save money on the products you want from the companies you love. New deals, discounts, and rebates added daily. Gundealio, available for free in the App Store and Google Play.
Hey, this is Marty Daniel of Daniel Defense. For years, we've been bringing the highest quality ARs to our consumers at a great value. Now we're doing that same thing again with our Delta 5 bolt-action rifle. It combines the accuracy and durability we're known for with the modularity of our AR platform. And it comes with the features the best shooters will want right out of the box. Visit DanielDefense.com to learn more. Isn't it time you got a Daniel?
Hey, this is cool. News release from SIG Sauer. They're adding 270 and 30-06 Springfield to their rifle component lines. You know that SIG, of course, has gotten into the ammo game big time. And let's see, now it says they're offering component cases in 270 Winchester and 30-06 Springfield. Let's see. Their other component lines, they have cases for 223 Remington, 22-250, 243 Winchester, 270 Winchester, 30-06, 300 Blackout, 300 Win Mag, 300 Winchester, 308 Winchester, and 6.5 Creedmoor. They're into it. And they also have component cases for a whole bunch of handgun ammo as well. Man, when they jump in, they go into the deep end. They do it right. Or at least they do it big, that's for sure. Line one, and I do think they do it right as well. Line one, Joe's with us out of Kansas. Hey, Joe, thank you for your patience. You're on.
HR-8 is a slippery slope to class warfare. Friends and neighbors you've hunted with in the past will turn ice cold with you because of fear.
Let's explain. HR-8 is the bill that just passed through the House of Representatives, the U.S. House. It is the so-called universal background check. It's the one where if you want to loan a gun to your neighbor for a week for him to go on a pheasant hunt in Kansas, you'd have to go get an FBI background check to loan him the gun, and then when he returns it to you, it has to go through the FBI background check. If you just loaned him the gun, then that would be a crime, and then when he gave you back the gun, that would be a crime. So that's what's going on here. It has to go to the Senate, and then it has to be signed, which I don't know that it would be. I hope not. But what do you mean when you say class warfare?
Well, people in your neighborhood that you've got along with in the past, if you're below them, if you drive an 87 Silverado and they drive a brand new Dodge, they're going to think, well, you're nothing, I'm something, and see at the local coffee shop, they'll start giving you glared looks like this guy's probably illegal and I'm legal, and they won't want to borrow, he won't want to go hunting with you out of fear. Just, he probably thinks you're Johnson. It creates some chaos.
Well, I'm not sure I quite am following that. I do think that you are onto something, though. Traditionally, what has happened is, and historically, I say traditionally, I meant historically, if you go back 100 years in various countries, when they've instituted programs like this, gun regulations, gun restrictions, gun confiscations, which is part of this whole deal, then it's also matched with big air quotes around public education efforts to encourage people to turn in those citizens who are not complying. And I absolutely foresee that. In fact, the ATF already has a toll-free number basically to drop a dime on somebody. And now we have the so-called red flag laws, which are actually what really concern me, where an ex-spouse or an ex-girlfriend or boyfriend can call the police and accuse you of having said something, done something, and they get an order from a judge that confiscates your guns without you having even to be present. You can't defend yourself. There's no due process. And then they say, well, you know, you can always apply to get your guns back if you can prove that you didn't do the things you're accused of doing. To me, that is a pernicious affront to the Second Amendment and to the rule of law. And that's already being passed. That's not like, gee, is it going to happen? That's already being passed in various states. And that is up for grabs. It's going to be, it already has been introduced in the U.S. Congress. So I think that's a real problem. So, but I appreciate it, Joe. Thank you, sir. Let's see here. Tom, Tulsa, Oklahoma, on 4. Hey, Tom, you're on Gun Talk.
Hey, Tom. Thanks for taking my call.
Hey there.
Hey, Tom, when I joined the military back in '66, I took an oath to protect the Constitution.
Mm-hmm.
Don't our lawmakers take that same oath?
Well, they do, and I know where you're going, but here's the thing. They would tell you that they are absolutely complying with that oath because, first of all, they'd say there's no such thing as an individual right to own a gun because they think the Supreme Court got it wrong in the Heller decision. So only the National Guard has the right to own guns. And they would say that all these things they're doing are actually within the Constitution, so they're not breaking their oath.
Okay. Well, darn.
I know. So then I know, and then you're left like I am, going, okay. So where do we go from there? And where we go from there is, how long were you in the military?
4 years.
Yeah, I would imagine in that period of time, you learned that when you're faced with a problem, you don't just fold and go, well, that's just the way it is. You figure out a way to attack, to overcome, improvise, all the rest of it. Basically, you find out a way to win. And I'm afraid that an awful lot of folks on our side, first of all, don't recognize the threat, and it's immediate, and it's at the door. And number two, are kind of in the shrug and go, well, there's not much we can do mode. And it worries me.
Yeah, I agree. So we just have to keep up the fight.
Well, and then, we all have to keep up the fight, and then it's a question of what does that actually mean? And Tom, I appreciate the call, sir. Thank you. What does it actually mean to keep up the fight? Proclaiming that, well, they'll never take my guns, that's not being in the fight. Saying, well, I've been a gun owner all my life, and that's just not going to happen here. That's not being part of the fight. Here's what being in the fight is. If you're serious about this stuff. Volunteering, giving money, making contributions of your time, and that means showing up at legislatures when they're hearing, showing up at city council meetings, showing up for protest, showing up at support things, showing up at the range when they're having Ladies' Day there and they need help there. It involves jumping in with both feet and being part of the fight. People go, well, the NRA this. Yeah, I know. Okay, find a group. Pick a group that actually does something, that actually find a group that wins lawsuits, not that files lawsuits, a group that wins lawsuits. Find a group that actually gets legislation passed. And absolutely 100% get involved in your state group. The states are where it's happening. That's where Bloomberg's attacking us left and right and winning, frankly. And winning. Red flag laws are getting passed around the country. These are gun confiscation laws that rob you of due process. They just come and knock on your door, and we have an order to take your guns, and we will take them, with force if we have to, because somebody made a complaint and some judge signed a piece of paper. We already had a guy in Maryland killed by the police when they came to get his guns because he didn't know who they were. It's 5 o'clock in the morning, banging on the door. Yeah, that's not going to go well, is it? If you're not involved in your state group, you got to get involved. It's time. There's never been a time like this. We're under assault. People say, well, I need to get in the fight. Okay, here it is. Money and time. Time and money. That's how you show what's important to you. Always has been, always will be. Our number is 866-TALK-GUN. I'm Tom Gresham. This is Gun Talk. Oh, by the way, if you don't have the Gun Dealio app on your smartphone, you need to go ahead and get that. Man, we're finding all sorts of deals. We're sharing them out there. We're kind of combing the world, finding the good deals. And you hear about them with your alerts you get. First of all, you got to get the Gun Dealio app. It's free, Gun Dealio. And then you set it up so that it will give you notifications. You have to allow notifications so that you get the news on these deals. Because a lot of times it's like a 24-hour sale. And if you don't move, the old deal, if you snooze, you lose, okay? Hey, line 5, Billy's with us out of Washington. I guess that's Washington State. Hey, Billy.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm good. What happened with your Redhawk, man?
Well, it was in the evening. I was going to a friend's mom's house. We were having like an oyster roast. And I laid this Ruger in the truck. And when I take that back, I forgot it. Went back into the house. When I got it, I had locked the truck doors. I laid it on my toolbox. And I got back in the truck. I had a handful of stuff. And when I got in the truck, I forgot it and left it on my toolbox. And when I pulled out of my driveway, and I live out in the country, but when I pulled out of my driveway, it fell off the toolbox and fell on the road. And it was a 44 Magnum Ruger Redhawk with a 2-pile Leupold scope on it. And it was kind of raining that night. And I had used it for hunting. And we went through the hunting club land to get to a friend of mine's house. About 2 hours later, I had taken it to show the boys my new gun that I had purchased. I had $700-800 in this pistol.
Right.
And so 2 hours later, I went out to the truck to get it, and it's not in my truck. And I'm going, where's my gun at? The truck is locked, so I know somebody took my gun. And then it dawned on me what I'd done. So, of course, I backtracked and followed my trail back through the hunting club land, back to my driveway, and I seen it right outside my driveway. My headlights picked it up, shining on it.
Billy, I gotta ask you to move quickly because we're gonna run out of time here. So what happened?
Okay, well, what happened is that it got run over 100 times. It was tore all up, messed all up. Well, I hid it underneath my mattress because I hated it for 7 years. A friend of mine told me one day, 7 years later, to send it to Ruger. Well, make sure you store it. Ruger replaced everything on it that could be replaced except for the frame because it had a serial number. All they charged me was shipping and handling, sent it back to me for shipping and handling, and Leupold did the same thing. It broke the reticle, the crosshair, and Leupold scope. They repaired it free, shipped it back. They didn't even charge me shipping and handling.
Isn't that amazing? It really is.
Isn't it, though?
I mean, Ruger had nothing in this thing. I mean, it was an accident or negligence or whatever you want to call it. This thing got run over by all these cars and beat up, and not their fault, and yet they basically gave you a new gun on the same frame. Leupold does the same thing. They've got that lifetime warranty, and they take care of it. That's a great story. And even better, Billy, you got your gun back, which is a really nice hunting handgun.
It is. I sent him a note, told him exactly what happened. I said, it was my fault, but I need it fixed. And I was figuring I was going to pay some money to get it fixed, but no, sir, they fixed it, repaired it free.
That is amazing. It really is. Thank you for sharing that. I really appreciate it. After a while, that kind of gets to where you're going, yeah. You're just like, yeah, except that it's so extraordinary. It's weird. Can something be ordinary and extraordinary at the same time? It's extraordinary in the wider sense, and yet it's kind of ordinary in our world of firearms and scopes and companies, good American companies. And it's really something. I don't know. It always gives me a good feeling when I hear those. So there's no end to them, and I always like to share them, so I appreciate that. All right. Here's the deal. You want to be a Second Amendment activist, it's real simple. You join all the groups. You donate money. You donate your time. Your time and your money is how you determine what's important to you. Whatever you will spend time and money on is what's truly important. Everything else is lip service. Yeah, I mean it. Everything else is lip service. Time and money. Oh yeah, and take somebody out to the range, introduce them to shooting. Be safe out there. We'll see you next time.